channel. I appreciate you all, man. So you already know what it's about. It's about the '80s crack epidemic when it was snasty, very snasty.
The year was 1989, and the 24-year-old Rayful Edmond was one of the hardest working men in crack. He had ascended to kingpin status shared with head honchos across America, many whose stories were retold through film or TV shows. The Rayfuls might be one of the least documented. Over a 7-year span, Rayful and his crew 150 deep boasted up $300 million a year in profit. They grew more brazen and violent each passing year and made the capital city look like a joke. Crack and cocaine was ravaging the capital so much that the city's own mayor fell victim to addiction, and it killed the #2 NBA draft pick in Len Bias. So by '89, Rayful, who had 6% of the market share, had the full attention of the DC cops and the FBI. But now the fun was over. Rayful was a calculated man and no dummy either. But mistakenly, he put his trust in an older woman he had met years before. After a first encounter in a jewelry store, Alta Rae Zanville became Rayful's partner in crime for years. Though she wasn't from a criminal background, he trusted her enough to move his millions for him. But in '88, Alta got busted moving Rayful's money. She folded quick and was forced to wear a wire. She recorded phone conversations with him, but the nail in the coffin was a conversation she had with Rayful's own mother.
Hey man, when I tell y'all the '80s was the golden years of getting away with selling, especially the first 3-4 years. I think everybody said that was teenagers in their 20s in the '80s. I wasn't. I was a kid, so but they said, man, the police didn't even know what to do about it. They didn't even know what the hell was going on.
Like he was doing hand coming, him and Johnny on the corner, and they was selling, they was getting it right. And then it just got to me. He just went out on his own.
She duped her into telling her and subsequently the feds Rayful's entire criminal history. With the RICO charge now in order, Rayful Edmond was arrested in April 1989. At the time, he was so dangerous that he was put in a Marine base in Quantico and airlifted to his court dates in fears of an armed escape. In court, he had an anonymous jury, zero access to public, and there was a bulletproof glass around the juries. The court artist was even asked not to draw jury members' faces too accurately in fears of reprisal against them. After all, Rayful had ordered some 40 murders in D.C., some shockingly close to the White House itself, so their fears were valid. Unsurprisingly, Rayful was hit with life without parole. His mom got 14 years, and 6 out of his 7 siblings were sentenced too. USP Lewisburg would be his new home. But USP Lewisburg also held some of the biggest names in the coke game, namely Dixon Dario and Chiqui Trujillo Blanco, son of Griselda Blanco. The two would become his new connects and set him up to move more dough from the inside than he had from the outside, roughly 400 kilos a week. To run his business, Rayful would talk to as many as 50 people in 3 hours on prison phones. Even learned Pig Latin to throw off the cops.
Remember, he used to live in 18th Street.
Yeah.
That he was going to move to downtown to 16th Street.
Yeah. When he made that statement to me, he was letting me know that the price went down 3,000 and went from 19th Street to 16th Street. So I automatically knew what he was talking about.
Edmond used an entirely different code when he spoke to his distributors back in Washington, D.C. Believe it or not, he used Pig Latin.
You want to hear a little bit?
Yeah, I want to hear what you say.
Pig Latin. Come on, man. See, these were minds of men that created a whole enterprise of business illegally, but these are people that were struggling and, get tired of struggling after a while. You try to create another way. And, man, this is why you don't see, this is why the ones that know that have been around in this world for a while, especially when you've been through the 90s and early 2000s, you see the difference. Don't nobody be outside, especially Chicago. There's no just hanging out every block like it was in the 90s and early 2000s. Everybody was outside. Every block was people out, kids playing. You don't see nothing. You don't even see no kids playing. You don't see nothing. You barely see it. Only certain blocks, few certain blocks, people is actually outside enjoying the weather. See, back then they were selling dope and outside enjoying the weather. Everybody was blending in. It's a big difference now and then.
What if this said it could you could do the Connecticut for the comedian?
What did you say? Believe it or not, he used pig Latin.
You want to hear a little bit?
Yeah, I want to hear what you say.
What if this said it could you could do the Connecticut for the comedian?
What did you say?
So go to the Attica and run with the when you go to down to Minica, Ortica. Like, come on, man.
Oh, I was just saying, I feel good today.
So fast. You could do that.
You got to be fast so nobody will understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, and you could just do this whole interview like that?
Yeah, I could do the whole interview like that.
Chicky was eventually released and returned to Colombia. But despite Chicky being murdered in a Medellin nightclub, Edmond...
Hey, always remember where the drug dealers got the drugs. They got it from overseas. They got it from other nationalities, particular Colombia and Mexico. You know what I'm saying? Black people did not create it. They just sold it and knew how to make money off of it. It ain't just all black either. It was white, Hispanic, black, almost every nationality. And those times was dipping in the cookie jar.
Dealt with Freddie Aguilera from the Cali cartel and got back to business. For years, the prison had little to no idea he was dealing right under their noses. He only went down in '96 after someone in the prison snitched on him. The punishment was 30 more years on his sentence. Unexpectedly, Rayful became an informant and gave info on many DC dealers and helped to solve multiple murders. Rayful's informant put 11 other dealers in jail. For cooperating, his own sentence wasn't reduced, but allegedly he did this to free his mother and siblings. To prevent retaliation, Rayful went into witness protection inside the prison. Today, aside from his exploits in the coke game, Rayful was...
So we're going to get past Rayful, though. It's like a lot of that, man.
To put it simple.
Wait, if you were locked up at any
looting full view for poor, impressionable kids to envy, a fast lane to the top. To put it simply, Rayful's friends could afford everything he dreamed of, and Rayful wanted in. When his operation picked up steam, Rayful started...
Rayful, he from Washington, D.C., so we're going to get past dude, man.
It would be only 3 years after meeting that the pair would get married, and only one more for their daughter, Bobby Christie. Rayful was arrested a few months later, and he hasn't seen freedom since. The story is heroic today because whatever happened in their office was probably the only time anyone ever stood up to Rayful Edmond without consequence. And another fascinating piece of crack-era America lore.
So just think, there was no blueprint. It's like, just think of a book that everybody is learning probably by word of mouth, but there's no physical book on how to cook it, make it, sell it. Like the strategy, like the orchestrated strategy that was thought up by, not saying they just didn't know. A lot of them went to military. That's how you gain some type of information on strategizing. School, it could be anything that throughout their life that they dealt with and learned and put all that together, because the way they did this, man, it was an enterprise, and this is all across America. It's just not no one spot. It's just not just New York, Washington, Chicago, LA. It was every city in America. A lot of people was getting money, man. Big money, bro. Big. It was feeding so many people. I'm talking about to the lowest person. You know what I'm saying? That can actually make $200 a day. And you can't make $200 a day. You got to have a college degree to make $200 a day. Nowadays, see how society caps you on earnings and keeps you in a bubble? 2026, in 1997, I was making $17 an hour, man, at 17. $17 an hour at 17, unloading trucks downtown for Merchandise Mart. Stop playing with me, man. 17. You can't even, they just now making minimum wage $17 or 16. You know? Come on, man. And you as a grown ass man. So you telling me I gotta go to school, college, just to make $40 an hour? That's dumb as hell. And we in 2026.
Many people dream of fame, of fortune, and of celebrity. That idea of being in the public eye, of being known and having the bankroll behind you to prove that you truly are successful.
You know?
Very few of us probably consider some of the downsides. The fact that being rich and famous can put a bit of a target on your back.
You know? I don't even want to be famous. I don't even want to be rich. I just want to be comfortable, man. You mean to tell me, as a hard worker that tried to work since he was 15 years old, I'm telling you now, by my experience and my evaluation of jobs, they can control your life. They can fire you when they want to. They can lay you off whenever they want to, no matter your union. I will do a video on that. People that have union jobs are supposed to protect their income, their daily job, and it don't even fucking matter nowadays, buddy. I'm telling you, too many people is having too much faith in their jobs. You got to have multiple incomes nowadays. One income is not doing it. For real.
How secure can you really feel day to day if millions of people know who you are and how much you're worth? Plenty of celebrities pay good money for security for this very reason, to protect themselves from either attackers or just overzealous fans. But how many do you think really worry about getting kidnapped? And do you think that a celebrity could ever be kidnapped and ransomed without the mainstream news or police ever being made aware? Well, if certain sources are to be believed, to find the answer to that question, we need to go back to 1993 and speak to a certain up-and-coming power couple of the celebrity world.
Man, this dude was getting too much of that dope from too many people. So he got the dope from the Black Hand. I forgot his name, from Harlem. He was supposed to have been a guy that kidnapped Rich Porter's little brother. That's where Bobby Brown was getting his cocaine from. One of the, like, he owed him money and dude was about to do him in type, or I think he protected him or something. He did something for him or to him. And then you got dude. So Bobby Brown, we already know what Bobby Brown been doing, man, especially when he had that little show with Whitney. that jaw started twisting a little bit. So when that jaw started get the twisting, oh yeah. Yay, mess. Anybody you know, when you know them as normal form and face, and all of a sudden one day you see them and they jaw is twisted and they ain't had no fight or nothing like that, and they just fidgeting. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's cocaine, baby.
Bobby Brown and Whitney Houston. Bobby Brown had been a member of New Edition, now said to have been the template for the classic boy band. They had numerous hits and released 3 albums between their formation in 1978 and when Bobby left in 1985 to pursue his solo music career. Bobby released his first solo album, but it was the second, named Don't Be Cruel, released in 1988, that really strapped a rocket to his back. He had a #1 song, 5 top 10 hits, and
5 top 10 hits, and the nigga was Pookie. And don't even really look like it either. He was doing cocaine, man, smoking it. And still was looking normal until he got with Whitney. And that's when that jaw twisted.
Grammy win under his belt in short succession. At the 1989 Soul Train Awards, he met Whitney Houston. And it was clear from the start that the two were in fact.
When they started fucking with each other, boy, she probably introduced him to some new shit, some new drugs, nigga. Because she was famous. No, wait a minute. I think Bobby was famous. Matter of fact, Bobby introduced her to some new shit with some new money, because her money was longer. You know, because he been smoked it up by the time he got to her. So, oh yeah, when he got Whitney, big money came in. That mean more drugs, more big.
Situated with each other. Whitney was already an internationally known star by this point.
Oh,
She had
shit.
multiple, even successive #1 songs under her belt, as well as album sales that were through the roof.
Come on now.
Her second album had a record-breaking 4
Millions.
#1 tracks
That's
on it,
drugs, baby.
beating out her debut, which itself had 3. Both albums had sat at #1 in
The
the
more
chart
money they made, the more drugs they smoked and took and intaked. They untook the
for
drugs.
weeks at a time in countries all over the world. And it was clear that her star was only destined to get brighter from here. It would be only 3 years after meeting that the pair would get married, and only one more.
Hey, could you do me a favor and hit that like button? Whoever's in the room, could you please hit that like button? Hit that notification bell. So whenever I upload a video, you'll get a notification. Beat TV 1.
For their daughter, Bobby Christina Brown, to be born. Truly, from the outside at least, it looked like a whirlwind romance. But all was not well between the two lovebirds. Brown had a reputation as a bit of an unstable character, already beginning to rack up a list of charges and issues due to his drug use and erratic behavior. And with him, Whitney's sparkly clean public image began to fade a little.
People, man, it's like the crack though, man. The crack, that was like the worstest thing a person can do, right? Because then you see the other people that's not functionable on it, they just strung out and they look horrible. Then you got people that can actually smoke cocaine, freebase, and look normal, be normal, act normal. This nigga got the dancing. So when he was doing all that dancing and sweating and shit, that nigga was off that cocaine, man. That's probably what kept him doing it.
The two had well-publicized drug and booze-fueled tips
shit.
that
Look
were
at
eaten
him,
up by the
see?
tabloids.
See, that's that jawline. See when that jaw, see that jaw? That jaw got the twisted. And you see, that's when everybody like, something going on, man. Why is that nigga talking like that? Why is his jaw twisted? Cocaine. That cocaine. That cocaine.
It's a little surprising, then, that somewhere in the Bronx, a particularly ruthless crew were about to plan an audacious crime and stay out of the headlines.
I was today years old when I found out you could set up a billboard in a day.
And stay out of the headlines.
Hey, whenever it's a commercial, I have to pause it. Plus, I have to pause the video quite frequently so I don't get copyrighted.
The preacher crew was headed up by a mountain of a man called Clarence Heatley. Born
There
in
you go.
1953.
See what I'm saying? There you go right there, y'all. Clarence Heatley. Remember I was just saying about the black hand and the guy that he about to tell you. So,
and standing an imposing 6'7" tall. His incredible size was somehow the least scary thing about him. Growing up in Harlem, New York, he was involved with crime from a young age, being sent to juvenile detention before the age of 10. By the early 80s, Clarence was known as Preacher, had already circled himself with men who were as cunning, ruthless, violent, and power-hungry as he was. Together, they began to sell enormous amounts of mainly cocaine in New York City, but they were known to dabble in other drugs. It wasn't the drugs that made the crew so renowned, however. It was the way they dealt with competition and debtors. Clarence and the men that ran with him swore him endless loyalty and would do whatever it took for the success of their organization. Were famed for using kidnapping, torture, and dismemberment to try and recover old debts. They were known to cut off fingers, toes, and other body parts to either get their victims to hand over cash.
ooh, man. See what I'm saying? That's a whole level of torture. Y'all think the switch, people gone in an instant. How about when somebody's sawing off your hand in front of you? Fingers, dismembering. So that shows you what he did and his way of thinking when he did that to Rich Porter's little brother, man. Cut his fingers off. See, dismemberment, they were doing all. They had a whole janitor squad like a mob, where they do their thing, leak, I don't even want to say it. I don't think I could say it on YouTube, but then they got a whole janitor squad that'll clean up all that mess of that right there.
or encouraged their loved ones to pay ransoms. And they were not above committing murder to protect what was theirs and eliminate those who would try and take it away from them. Their infamy grew even more when they kidnapped a 12-year-old boy, sent his fingers back to his family, and ended up killing him in cold blood anyway. The bottom line was, Clarence Preacher Heatley and his crew were not to be taken lightly. A former member of the gang known as David Collins would later reveal in a book one of the more surprising stories of a crime that Preacher crew committed that should have made headlines the world over, but didn't. Bobby Brown had run up an alleged drug debt that was somewhere in the region of $25,000 to someone in Atlantic City. Preacher essentially bought the debt, paying it off, and then deciding that Bobby now owed a vastly inflated sum to him and his crew. And the Preacher crew were not a group that you wanted to owe money to, famous or not. They knew that Bobby hung out.
Coming for you is it frustrating to...
But it also shows that at least for a while, there was clearly something strong between them. A relationship that was worth risking injury and death for. One that paying $400,000 to salvage and continue seemed more than worthwhile. And it may be easy to look back at the beatings, the excesses, the tabloid headlines, and the tragic deaths of Whitney, Bobby Christina, and Bobby Jr. Maybe in the...
This was BTV1. And it's just me going over a video basically about the drug dealing back then. Even my commentary really explained more of that. And this just that type of content where the 80s and the history of drug sales and all that, man, it was something else, y'all. It was really something else. But hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to keep it moving, man. I got another video. It's going to be something different, man. You don't know what to expect from the channel. Please subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. You just don't know what to get. I have many of niches. I don't stay in one box. So hit the like button. Appreciate you all. I'm out. I'm gone. Bobby.